And I want to share with you how we're putting together our human behavior experiment. And it's not very difficult, but there's a process. And that process really starts with the scientific method. So get on the edge of your seat. I have a really cool little video that shares the steps of the scientific method. And real quick, before I do that, don't forget to take some notes on this. I know it's really exciting. If you want to dance. They're coming faster. These are the steps. And then you break it down and you dance. We'll stop it there because you can go back and you can get these notes. So I just want to share with you how we did this though. And every day I ask you to make observations, to notice things going on around you. And so that's what we've been doing in class every morning. And then about a week ago or 2 weeks ago, earlier in the term, somebody had an observation about what happens when that little bell goes off in the announcements and everybody stands for the pledge. It was just an observation, all right? They noticed some things around you. The video says you can take some notes. You could watch it for a couple of days. You can make extra observations. We decided not to do that, but that's okay. We were just kind of winging it in class. And we started asking questions. And that's really where we were. And we had a lot of different places we could go. If you remember, we had a lot of discussion over that on all the different directions we could go in. If we decided if it was the bell that made people stand, if it was the announcers talking that made people stand, was it because they said please stand? You know, there's a lot of different questions that we were asking ourselves and trying to figure out. We were wondering how people reacted to different things, if they all stood, if they didn't, and we had a pretty good discussion about it. But basically, by the end of the discussion, we decided we were going to pinpoint, like, well, is it the bell that makes people stand, or is it something else? But that's where we kind of left it, and those are the questions we were going to try to answer. So, at this point, you could submit your idea. An idea is not the entire experiment. It's not the big thing at the end that you're used to. It's just an idea. So, these are some pieces of information that I would include when I submit an idea, which would be emailed to me. And some people have already emailed yours, and you may want to relook at them, and that's why I'm sharing this. So, the idea is, when do people stand for the pledge? I can share again how it developed. You may want to put this in your paper later, so you may want to just write it out because then you have it typed anyway. I have my purpose, and we were trying to find out what motivates people to stand at this part of the day and not at other parts of the day, because the announcements go all the time and nobody just stands up. So there has to be something specific about this time of the day when they stand. And then I started looking at my research. And originally I said that I thought it was operant conditioning, but actually And my idea for operant conditioning came from the lecture I shared with you on B.F. Skinner. And I thought that's really where we were. But as I started looking a little bit more and I researched a little bit more, I didn't really feel like it was operant conditioning because there has to be a positive or negative reinforcement, you know, like a consequence or reward that happens in operant conditioning. And I didn't feel like that really fit because what in the world would be the reward or punishment for standing for the pledge? So then I started looking a little bit more and I found out that there's something called classical conditioning, and that's really more the Pavlov's dog idea that I had originally sort of shared with you as well, but I had kind of mixed them up. I don't need to go through all my research for you, but that's what you would do, and you can evaluate the theories, and that's why this other assignment is going to work and tie in very nicely. So I went through and I found some examples of different types of classical conditioning. And this would be the idea that when you walk in the kitchen, you go immediately to the refrigerator. Or when you walk in the kitchen, you just immediately feel hungry. Another classical type conditioning could be you had a bad experience. You were at a friend's house. You were eating tons of pizza and soda, and then you had an ice cream cake or something like that, and then you proceeded to vomit all over because you ate way too much food. Every time you look at ice cream cake, you think of that experience, and you think, oh no, I'm not eating the ice cream cake. Okay? That's classical conditioning. And so that's some of the examples I kind of researched and looked up. And I could add in all the websites and the resources. I could also put them in MLA format if I want. I don't have to just yet, but I could. And then I decided to tell you it was a behavior, not a habit, because it's an action people do based on the stimuli. And that's all I have to do for my idea. But I do need to include all those components, and I'm going to show you why. Here is the grading scale. Let me make that a little bit bigger for you. That's not quite big enough. I'm just going to go down the 3 column anyway. I have a solid purpose. My idea can be proven. It's original, and I looked at some research. I did some research. I studied some things. It's a behavior. I don't feel it's a habit. We don't just stand up because it's a habit. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been able to test it. And then this was developed early with a little bit of help from you. So thank you for that. And that's why I feel this is a proficient idea. Okay? As a little bit more in depth. That's why it's worth 20 points. Okay?